Right, so I've just spent the last 9 weeks traveling all over the country. I visited 29 schools with 7,317 students through my RayseTheGame motivational study skills program. And in this video, I want to share with you the truth of teenagers today. These are my observations from working with young people day in, day out. And if you're a parent right now and you're watching this and you're thinking, why is my teen, why are they struggling with motivation? Why is my son or daughter's head stuck in a screen? They can't focus, can't concentrate. I have to nag them to get their work done. Here's the truth. And it's not that they're lazy. The fact of the matter is they're exhausted. Why? Because of this. We live in a 24/7 culture nowadays. Because of our phones, we're on all the time. And for this generation, they are struggling to sleep. They're on their phone late into the night. They're talking to their friends. They're texting. They're getting messages. Can't get out of bed in the morning. When they come to school, they're exhausted. And then throw in the pressure. We have the social pressure to fit in. We've got the physical pressure to look a certain way. Then you've got the friendship issues. Then we have the academic pressure, the points race, the pressure to be perfect, the pressure to fit in. Then we've got a lot of issues today around identity, body, gender, how we fit into this very complex and difficult world. And as a result, young people are exhausted, and also they can't be bored. Why? Because they're so used to picking up their phone. That's dopamine firing through your brain with every single scroll, and that prefrontal cortex, I point to the front part of my brain, that is forming during the adolescent years. And what is happening is, for young people today, they struggle to be bored, and that means they can't focus, they can't concentrate, and this is a huge issue. And only the other day I was in a gym, there was a guy on a machine in front of me. In between every rep, every set on the machine, he was on his phone. Only last week I was coaching a student. I got him to take out his phone. We looked at his screen times, 18 hours on TikTok. And I asked him, how long did you spend studying? He shiftily looked at me, an hour. And this guy wants 500 points. So we live in this TikTok world today, and it is difficult. And as a result, teenagers are exhausted, which brings me to the second big truth, and it's this: parents are petrified. Why? Because of this. And your big concern is you're in the kitchen and you're wondering, who are they talking to on their phone? Who are they connected with? They're upstairs in their bedroom. What are they doing? Who are they talking to? And this is scaring parents. And as a result, you are over involved. So parents are so over involved with their teens' offline world, yet you don't know what's happening with their online world. And you're involved in the drama. Maybe they come home from school and they're talking about the friendships, and this person said that and that person said this, and then the teacher and that teacher has it in for me, and they said this and they said that. And we're so involved in what's happening in our teens' world that every time there's a problem, you are stealing their struggle. And I seen this in a first year group I was working with recently, where the teacher said to me, they're afraid to ask for help. So if they can't reach their locker, if their friend is in a different base class, or maybe they can't write down their homework, they go home, they tell their parent, and the mom or the dad sends in a note. And the schools are dealing with all these notes, and the teen is afraid to ask for help. So remember, if you steal their struggle, you're robbing them of their resilience. And the goal of the game is to help your teenager to get through the adolescent years with a good sense of self-esteem. Where does self-esteem come from? Well, it comes from solving your own problems. So step back, give them the space so they can solve their problems. The third big truth for teens today is that they have zero attention span. Again, because of this. And when I started 15 years ago, I used to do 6-hour seminars. I mean, I'd take groups of students from 8:30 in the morning pretty much through till 3:30 in the afternoon. That cannot happen today. Why? Because teenagers can't focus. And a lot of teachers remark to me, say, I don't know how you took them for 2 hours. And the way that my sessions work is they're fast, they're fun, they're vibey, and I tell a lot of stories. And teens love stories. There's no point in talking about facts. You got to talk about stories, and teenagers learn using stories, and that's why they love my seminars. But the big problem is for any young person, they come home from school, they have to take out their textbook, they have to take out their copybook, and they can't focus and concentrate because of their attention span, because they need a hit of this. And the one thing you can do as a parent is you can help them to actually be able to regulate their phone usage. And that's why I invented my study sprint technique. It's short, sharp bursts of study, which suits their actual short attention span. Especially for neurodiverse teens, this is absolutely huge. Which brings me to the next big truth, and it's this: apathy. A lot of teenagers today are struggling with motivation. And as one teacher said to me down in Cork in one of the sessions, he said, "Ray, I could give them the history paper and they still wouldn't study. There's no oomph." And this is a huge issue. And this is the reason I get the phone call from schools. It's the reason I get the phone call from parents. I'm the outside voice to put a bit of fire in their belly. And I think we have a real problem. I think because of the adjustment in the leaving cert, we've created a lot of grade inflation. I think we've dumbed down the junior cert. We have a crisis in education. And a lot of leaving cert students, a lot of young people are looking at the leaving cert and they're even questioning the value of a degree today, especially in an AI-driven world. And they're looking at it and they're thinking, well, sure, it's not that important. It doesn't matter that much. And the one thing, and I know speaking from experience, that your education can give you is confidence. But I think we also have a societal problem that if young people today can't buy a house, they can't get on the property market, they can't build a stake in society. And I think that's translating down into young people. They feel defeated before they've even started. And that's turning into apathy, which is a huge, huge problem. Which brings me to the next big truth. And it's this, and it's that mainstream school is not fit for neurodiverse teens. Now, I'm doing a master's in inclusive and special education, and there's a huge drive to make schools more inclusive for every type of learner: ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism. And my coaching program, I specialize in working with neurodiverse teens, but I know from coaching and working with young people who do have any form of learning difference, they can feel left behind in school. And in one school I was in, a young lady came up to me after the session. She has dyspraxia, and she said to me, I feel less smart than my peers. And my heart was breaking for this young girl. And that's a big challenge for all neurodiverse teens. In school, which tests maths and your ability to write, for neurodiverse teens, they really struggle and they feel stupid. They feel not good enough or not smart enough. And two of my students who have ADHD, last term they must have had about 20 demerits. And one of my other ADHD students, he had detention last week. So for young people, the punishment and reward thing does not work. So we're penalising young people who, when they leave school, they're going to be the disruptors. These are the guys who are going to create businesses. They're going to be artists. They're the creators. And we need to actually welcome those type of young people instead of penalising them. And still in school, they get penalised, which is a big challenge for them. Which brings me to the last big challenge, and it's this, is that young people today, they are striving in many schools for perfection, but what they really need are role models. The problem today is young people do not have enough good role models. And if we roll back 20, 30 years, the political class were the role models, the clergy were the role models, the banks were the role models. Well, that's not the same today. And as a result, a lot of young people are scratching around and they don't have good role models. And that's why, again, they're online. They're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, they're on YouTube, and they're looking for someone to look up to. And this created the whole space for Andrew Tate to step into, the toxic masculinity, because especially for young boys, they're struggling to look up to people. And don't forget, for you as a parent, you are their number one role model, because they will look at you, they will imitate you, and you set the standard. You create that value system, and never underestimate the power of having one good adult, one good role model in a young person's life. So having gone around the country, I will say this, is that I'm still very encouraged by young people, and the amount of students who come up to me at the end of sessions to thank me for coming in, to say thank you for the seminar, and also the amount of students who I gave out pens, they gave me back the pen and said thank you. They didn't just run off with the pen, and that encourages me. The problem for these young people today is not the phone, it's not the pressure, it's not the parents. The problem is the environment. We've created a world today where young people are exhausted. They're overwhelmed because of the 24/7 cycle. We now have AI. We now have a world where there's so much pressure, and also throw in the environment issues and all the culture wars. We've created a world where it's pretty much fear-driven for young people. And what I try to do in my program is to give them a sense of confidence, a sense of structure, and to give them a plan to move out into their future with the right tools, with the right attitude, and the right energy that's going to help them take on the next step of their future with confidence. So if you like this video, click a like. If you want my coaching, go to RayseTheGame.com. If you want me to come to your school, go to RayseTheGame.com. And remember, guys, day by day, we are raising the game.